Robinson's defense has said that the entire county needs to be disqualified. Prosecutor, you keep prosecuting, you stay on, because I haven't made up my mind yet. The presence of Grunander's daughter was completely irrelevant to anything else. 3,000 people were there. She also testified that she did not see Kirk when he was shot and didn't see him at any point afterward, so missed the whole thing. Novak argued the whole office is tainted. And the prosecutor came out and said, well, Judge, sometimes we just screw up, so that's why we want the cameras out of here. Updates in the Tyler Robinson case. The defense trying to disqualify all of the Utah County Attorney's Office in this district here in Provo, saying that a prosecutor's daughter was there at the scene when Charlie Kirk was murdered, and that causes a conflict, that causes a bias, because the prosecutor is going to be too focused on getting justice for his child rather than actually finding the right person who is responsible for this heinous act. The report came from KUER. They were there. This was a two-part hearing. We had a ton of testimony. They brought in a bunch of people to testify, and those people included Jeff Gray, the county attorney, the county prosecutor called Chad Garunder, the father, and his 18-year-old daughter. They all brought him in to testify. Robinson's defense has said that the entire county needs to be disqualified. Because the daughter was there, the defense says there's an appearance of a conflict of interest, saying the father is going to be emotional and may have actually perverted the investigation. Judge said, I'm going to give a ruling later. Hearing happened, no decision until February 24th. Until then, he said, let's keep this case going. Prosecutor, you keep prosecuting, you stay on, because I haven't made up my mind yet. So he's not saying pause, right? If there's a pause, then it's probably likely he's going to boot the county. But if he says keep going and I'll decide later, I doubt he's going to boot the county. So far, the trial has moved in fits and starts with motions and debate. Cameras in the courtroom. Robinson's attire. Cameraman got scolded last time. When Gray took the witness stand, one of the prosecutors, he said that the presence of Grunander's daughter was completely irrelevant to anything else. 3,000 people were there. And the main county attorney, whose daughter was not there, said I had the final say on death penalty and all these things. So it's not this prosecutor who's even making any key decisions, the father of the daughter. He's described the whole thing as laughable. It kind of is. And the judge has been indulging it for whatever reason. I know what the reason is. It's because the judge doesn't want to screw up on this case, so he's being extremely cautious about every little nook and cranny. They say it's already been too much delay in this case. And for safety concerns, the judge cleared the courtroom when the daughter took the stand, said her name on the record. She's a freshman at UVU, and attorneys on both sides asked the judge to keep the public out for her entire testimony so we couldn't see anything. Reporter, of course, was there. Now, on the stand, she said that she was a fan of Charlie's and excited to attend his event. Shout out. She said that she loved watching Charlie's videos, so do we, where he debated people who disagreed with him. Now, while the 18-year-old said that she could see Kirk from her standing position, she said she was looking away when the pop went off. She learned later it was a gunshot. She heard someone said, he's been shot, and she ducked. She also testified that she did not see Kirk when he was shot and didn't see him at any point afterward, so missed the whole thing. Now, initially, she said that she was scared until she ran to safety. Once she learned it was Kirk who had been shot, she was sad. Months after the shooting, she says, I'm totally fine, quote. There haven't been any long-term effects, haven't gone to therapy, haven't missed any classes. Prosecutor father testified, yeah, he called his daughter to make sure she was okay as soon as the scene broke out. After that, he went to the crime scene. He turned into prosecutor mode, starts investigating the case. He said that his daughter's proximity to the shooting didn't influence the charging decision or any other decisions in the matter. Utah and the county attorney's office emphasized that Grunander's daughter is not a material witness. We're not calling her. She didn't even see it. She's not going to come in and testify. She brings nothing to the case. The case they said, hinges on who killed Kirk. And the daughter can't testify to identity at all. In essence, she's not a witness. Only a witness to the circumstances, but not to the murder itself. Prosecutor was asking questions or making argument and said, look, if the prosecutor were related to Charlie, we would acknowledge there's a conflict, like if they were brother and sister, uncle or something, but that's not the case. And the defense team argues that this is not about whether this is going to be a witness. They say the issue is that the most experienced and senior prosecutor was not firewalled, and so they should be disqualified. You can see a screenshot of the testimony. Novak said the way Gray handled the conflict was too casual, and the main prosecutor should have booted the second prosecutor off. Because that didn't happen, Novak argued the whole office is tainted and should be kicked off the case, having Fannie Willis flashbacks. Outside of the disqualification arguments, the issue of news media also came up again. The judge moved the pool videographer and the photographer further back in the courtroom behind the tables where the attorneys and Robinson sat. restricting what images they could capture. The defense wants to completely ban microphones and cameras from the courtroom. Maniacs. The day after the hearing, attorneys for Erica Kirk, Kirk's widow, filed a court notice urging the judge to deny any unnecessary request to limit public or media access. And that's the right call. And we appreciate Erica for making that very clear on the record. They shot and murdered and killed Charlie right in front of us for all to see. And now they want us to just like trust them that this is proceeding appropriately without allowing the public to come in and see what's exactly happening. We've already had our questions about this court because they have already had secret hearings that we had no idea were even happening. We could see that they were happening because we were observing on the other end of these hearings weird things, weird changes. We were covering it in depth and we saw that Tyler Robinson's camera was turned off multiple times. And we said, where the hell did this come from? Where in the record, in the documents, was that ever a decision that was made? And why is the prosecutor's office allowing this to happen? The only way I can think of is because they agreed to that. We never heard them say anything about it on the record. Then we learned there was a secret hearing. The media said, we didn't even know about this. You never notified us. They submitted motions to intervene, been battling this for a long time. And so if America has a default standard of having access to these proceedings, which we do, why are they locking it down? To try to protect Tyler Robinson's rights or something like that? They didn't lock down Derek Chauvin. They didn't lock down Kyle Rittenhouse. They didn't give any protections to President Trump or the J6ers. So we want access. So far, the judge has been granting that access, but the prosecutors have been a little wishy-washy. And even the last hearing that we heard, the prosecutor was like, judge said, what's the basis for closing this down? Defense obviously said defendants' rights. They can make that argument and have credibility behind it. But then the prosecutor came out and said, well, judge, sometimes we just screw up. So that's why we want the cameras out of here. Judge said, that's not a reason to throw the public out of a publicly accessible hearing. So we're not going to get a decision on this until February 24th is what it looks like. And of course, my perspective is the judge is going to say this is de minimis or something. This is not material at all and doesn't create an appearance of impropriety. There were 3,000 people there. She didn't see anything. What's the conflict? The prosecutor wasn't there. Prosecutor's daughter, who didn't see anything and is not traumatized in any way. We'll see. You could also see the judge kind of do something like McAfee did and say maybe that one prosecutor should be booted off, but not the entire county attorney. Remember, they said that Nathan had to go, but Fani Willis could stay, and there was a noxious odor there. But just think about the conduct in both of those cases. What Fani and Nathan did versus a daughter at a public event did. And if that's the standard, if you have any family member of any prosecutor at an event like this where something bad happens, you can disqualify the entire county. Not sure that that is precedent that this judge will want to establish, but we'll wait to see. February 24th, decision coming soon.